Quint.
Hello and welcome to Hot Money Technicals on Bloomberg Quint Live, India's first digital live streaming business news service. This is a show which gives you a complete wrap of all the stocks that are buzzing in trade. I am Darshan Mehta. Let's welcome our experts then. Dhaneshwar Padwal of KIFS Securities, Brijesh Bhatia of Deal Money Securities, and Raja Venkatraman of Chart Advice joins us on the show. Thank you to all for joining me on the show. Before we take the guest technical call, let's go across to Jayesh Khilnani, who tells us about a pattern that the Bloomberg terminal has thrown up on Godrej Consumer. So Jayesh, what is the chart indicating?
So Darshan, there's in fact sell indicator on Godrej Consumer, which is based on the moving average convergence divergence indicator. Just to give you a background of what this indicator does is shows you the relationship between two exponential moving averages of 12-day and 26-day. So there are two lines essentially which get plotted, and a crossover between the two lines gives you where the turning points are in a particular trend, and the buy and sell signal is generated based on the direction of the crossover. So that's the last 1 year chart of Godrej Consumer, and you can see that the bottom panel actually shows you the MACD indicator, which is the blue line is the MACD line and the white line is the signal line. And you can see that as of today that there is a crossover which is on the negative side, which means that the blue line has in fact crossed below the white line, which indicates a sell signal on the stock. And you can see that the stock is down anywhere between 50 to 60 rupees as well. But you know, this has historically worked very well, and hence the selection of this stock. Last 1 year, if you had sold all the indications on the MACD, each trade would have given you 5% return.
Okay, so that's the trend that we're getting in on Godrej Consumer. Let's ask our guests what they feel on Godrej Consumer. FMCG as a space has seen a lot of selling. Most of the companies have come off the record highs that they have. But Dhaneshwar, Godrej Consumer, the Bloomberg terminal is indicating a sell indicator. What are your indicators showing?
Yeah, good afternoon, Darshan. If you look at the overall FMCG sector, and if you look at the relative rotation graph, so FMCG sector is moving in a leading quadrant where you know the relative strength and momentum is very high, and Godrej Consumer is a part of the FMCG counter, and recently we have seen that the Godrej Consumer is moving in a clear uptrend, and you know the intermediate trend line is placed intermediate trend line support placed here 1335. So I would wait for stock to be closed below 1335.
Okay, on a closing basis. What about you, Brijesh? Is the negative pattern still going to be there, or would you change your view?
I would slightly go with Jayesh because we have seen momentum trend line has been breached at around 1345, 1350 zone and trading below these levels. I think 1290, 1300 could be a minor support where I think stocks might take a halt before moving downwards. But overall, yes, good profit booking has been seen in stock, and this stock might continue on the downside journey towards 1250, 1240 levels.
Okay, and Raja, your view on Godrej Consumer?
Yeah, after moving in a steady uptrend for the past few days, there's a clear case of divergence being witnessed on the RSI. Okay. And we're also looking at the trend line breakdown and a gap down opening today. We are looking at some supports around 1300 levels, which is a good value area where one could actually look to buy into Godrej Consumer.
Okay,
so that trend in this stock is still positive, and a dip buy is advocated around 1300 where a good support is seen.
Okay, so slightly contrarian view. Obviously, everyone expects the counter could correct another 30-40 rupee, but what Raja is saying that at 1300 levels he would be a buyer. The other guys do believe that there could be potentially more selling. But let's get back to hot money. Let's discuss all the stocks. The first stock that we want to discuss is Axis Bank. We'll have the chart on the screen right now. Dhaneshwar has a recommendation on Axis Bank. It's a breakout. So Dhaneshwar, what's the chart?
Yeah, if you look at the overall sector of the Bank Nifty, so you know the Bank Nifty and tendency to show the similar view like an underlying benchmark index, that is Nifty, but you know the financials have their own personality. From that sector, I would pick out the private sector bank, that is an Axis Bank. So recently we have seen that on the monthly chart, Axis Bank has given a pennant breakout, or we can see the pole clearly indicated uptrend, and after the symmetrical triangle breakout, the stock has tested the first line of defense near about 620. 622, and you know it is poised for an initial leg of up move towards the 750. So here traders can keep a tight stop loss of 590 on a closing basis for an initial leg of up move towards the uncharted territory, that is 750.
Okay, 750. How soon do you expect 750 to come about?
It will take more than 2 months, because this is the monthly chart, and we have seen that the stock was consolidating in a particular pattern since 2015. It has already taken 3 years to break these patterns. So it will take more than 2 months.
So is this your first target, or do you see potential more upside coming in?
This is my first target, but stock has a potential to travel behind 750 level.
So if someone wants to buy, it's at 640 right now. Would you recommend buying at this level, or would you recommend averaging it out or taking positions at a lower level?
Yeah, if stock corrects towards the first line of defense towards the 620, 610, so that could be a great buying opportunity, and by keeping a stop loss of 590 on closing basis, because this is the monthly chart, and there might be a possibility if the stock corrects towards the 620, 610, so that would be an
and 590 is your strict stop loss.
Yes.
If it goes below it, this trade is going.
Because this trend line, upper side trend line, overhead trend line breakout is placed near 590 level. So if the stocks close below that, so pattern would not work out.
Okay, so that's the view. It's a bullish call that's coming in. Thank you so much, Dhyaneshwar. We'll ask our guests what they feel. Brijesh, do you concur with the bullish view on Axis Bank?
Yeah, if you look at the strong breakout on monthly chart, it's very, very strong. And if you look at the volume, so volume is at the last month volume is at nearly record high of 2018. So I could say around last October 2017, the volumes were seen when the stocks has continuation pattern. The only risk the failure risk I would say is the RSI. If you look at the monthly RSI, it has taken resistance at 2016 high as well as Jan 2018 high. So and it is being sloping slightly downwards at around 60-62 levels. So that would be the only risk if I look at the charts. But overall, I think yes, a good bullish bet could be seen in Axis Bank, and even it is outperforming against the other private banks now.
Okay, so 2 thumbs up coming in for Axis Bank. Will it be a thumbs up or thumbs down from you? Raja, that's for you.
Yeah. It's a buy, and I would advocate a buy on dips also.
Okay.
Because the markets are witnessing some profit booking. It's definitely multi-month breakout above 615 levels. So one should actually look at buying some here and some on dips. If 615 is given up, then I would discard my view on bullish view on the Axis Bank.
Okay, 615 is your stop loss. 590 is the stop loss on a closing basis that Dhyaneshwar spoke about. Let's move on to the next stock, and that is Glenmark Pharma. And Brijesh is rather bullish on it. Brijesh, we'll pull up the chart. You can join me here. It's a buy on MACD. So it's come out above this line, but you need to explain to us and our viewers what you're trying to show.
Yeah, if you look at the pharma space, all had been buzzing and trending in a strong trend. And if you look at the Glenmark, this stock was nearly trading in a range 610 on the upside and around 530, 540 on the downside. Once it has breached 500, but again we have seen a strong momentum coming up again, and the stock was consolidating in those range. And we have seen here the first initial sign of breakouts. Okay, and even if you look at these volumes, the breakouts are supported with strong volumes.
Okay,
and even in this consolidations, prices are again.
It's the same chart, it's the RSI.
Okay, so still the prices are moving down, but if you look at this RSI, it's trending on a bullish side. With post breakout and RSI trending with a strong uptrend, volumes being picking up, and pharma space again in a bullish trend. I think this would be a good bet considering the risk reward wise, as Sun Pharma, Lupins all have really rallied, and this is just above a breakout level. I think this would again with a stop loss of around below this level 620, 630 levels. I guess this would stock be around 735, 750 levels on the upside.
How soon do you see this coming in? So
maybe
probably
around,
that's a 30-40 rupee stop loss, but the potential is much higher.
Is, yes,
how soon do you see this coming around?
Maybe around 3 to 5 weeks.
In 3 to 5 weeks. So this you're rather bullish on the, and is that your first target, or would you see more potential upside?
Potentially I am looking for around 790, but I would prefer 735, 750, 760 range to be.
It's 660 right now. If someone is watching it, should he take a call at this point of time?
Yeah,
or
you
do you
can
see a
look
little bit of counter cooling off and they could take a position at a lower level?
You can take at current level, or you can add on dips to 650 also. But I would suggest
What's your strict stop loss here, you said?
Stop loss is 630. Below 630, you can keep a stop loss of 30 points. And I think 730, 750 levels would be the good buy.
Okay, 630 is the stop loss. Thank you so much, Brijesh, for it. Raja, what's your view on Glenmark? 30 rupee stop loss is something that Brijesh spoke about for a potential target in excess of 700. What's your view?
Yeah, Glenmark is definitely looking positive, but then I would tread more caution in the sense that one should not look at it from a positional view.
Okay.
One should look at it from a more short-term perspective, say a 2-day, 3-day perspective, because there are resistances around 720. That's the target which he has mentioned. So one should not get aggressively bullish, looking at the overall bullish momentum seen in the pharma space. But yes, this is definitely on the buy side.
Okay, so 2 thumbs up. What about you, Dhaneshwar? Your view on Glenmark?
If you look at the overall chart structure of Glenmark on the monthly chart, so we have seen that the Glenmark Pharma is unfolded into the corrective pattern, and wherein it has taken a very good support around 60 in the proximity of 61.8% of Fibonacci retracement. And recently we have seen that the overall pharma sector, if you compare with the Nifty, so we got the breakout on the relative comparative index. So I probably feel that the pharma sector is going to outperform in that space. Yes, of course, I agree with the Brijesh that the Glenmark Pharma, we have seen that the renewed strength into the counter. So traders can keep a stop loss of near about 630 level and wait for an initial leg of up move towards the 700.
Okay, so that's the view that's coming in on Glenmark. Again, a 3 thumbs up that's coming in on Glenmark Pharma. 630 is the stop that Brijesh spoke about. If it goes below that, this call is invalid and you should exit it. Raja, you're betting on Infosys. Let's pull up the chart. You can come and join me here. And you have a rather bullish view. It's an MACD chart. Yeah, take it away. Explain why you're so bullish.
Yeah, after the phase of consolidation beginning in the start of 2018, it has steadily been making a higher high, higher low.
Okay.
Which is clearly indicating an uptrend. And if you see in August, there was a gap down right into the moving average bands. This moving average crossover is a very good system for all traders, where a crossover indicates a buy opportunity to the upside. The short term crossing over the long term, which is indicating a positive trend, and the consistent trend which has been seen has also been supported by the move in the currency. So that has augmented a strong move in almost all the IT stocks, and with Infosys being the leader, it's been displaying continuous uptrend. And even after the X bonus yesterday, there was a sharp move seen and it has now been withholding. It has now been withholding the decline in the market and has been going up.
Okay.
Plus, there is a fresh move seen on the MACD, which is indicating a fresh buy momentum. So overall setup indicates that the potential to go up is much higher. So for people who want to go long, they will actually be entering the IT space, and from the IT space, I favor Infosys to be on the buy side.
Okay, it's moved up steadily. Right. I think this blue line crossed over the white line here also. That's where probably the trend started.
Yeah.
It's a momentum stock. It's trading close to record highs.
Correct.
Even at this level, you would. And firstly, there are two questions. Is this more like a slightly longer term play? Is this a trading play, or it's like a slight investing? Slightly short, slightly medium term play?
You could do both.
Okay.
Yeah. The reason is that it's a good pullback stock.
Okay.
If you notice, every pullback into the short-term period moving average has generated buying interest.
Okay.
And that's the reason why it has been continuously moving up.
Okay.
And it's not those sharp upsides which you see in certain stocks.
It's a slow and steady upside.
Slow and steady upside. So it's good for trading as well as investment.
So if someone is looking for, let's say, a 1 or 2 week thing, or what's your eventual target that you're looking at Infosys?
Yeah, from a 3 to 4 day perspective, 770 is the target.
Okay.
On the upside, say maybe under 1.5 months, 850 is the target.
850. Is there any strict stop loss that you have for this strategy?
Yeah, if you are looking from a short-term perspective, say 1 week, you can have a stop loss of 716.
Okay.
Otherwise, you can have a stop loss of 695.
And if 695 is broken, this strategy is null and void?
Strategy is null and void.
Okay, that's the perspective. Thank you so much, Raja, for this. Infosys is the stock that we are talking about. Let's get our guest view. Dhaneshwar, Infosys, it's moved up. It's a very beautiful chart. It's moved up significantly. What's your view? Are you bullish on Infosys?
Yeah, Darshan, no doubt about the IT indices, because we have seen that in 2018 IT indices has outperformed the key benchmark index by marking the positive alpha, and in that space Infosys Infosys is the leader, and recently we have seen that the Infosys is moving in a clear uptrend on the weekly chart. But if you look at the RSI on the weekly chart, so RSI is indicating some cautiousness because we are getting divergence where the price is making new high, but RSI is not making new high. So I would be rather cautious. But yes, for a short term, traders can keep a stop loss of 710 for an initial leg of up move towards the 770.
Okay, so similar type of targets at least in the short term. And Brijesh, will it be 3 on 3 here?
For short term, probably I'm looking for 755, 760 level and not expecting slightly higher levels, because if you look at these rising trend line joining the highs, the 760, 765 comes as a resistance level, and even if you look at the stochastics on the weekly charts is now extremely overbought, and the slight divergence on the RSI is being sign of cautious for me. So for short term, probably 750, 55 levels can be expected, but on longer time, I would wait for a dip towards 680, 670 levels to go long.
Okay, so that's the view that we're coming in. I think the consensus view on the short term is extremely bullish on Infosys at this point of time. 757, 770, 7075 is the broad consensus that guests have. Raja is rather bullish on it, even on a longer term trend, but the RSI point is something that the other two technical analysts pointed out, that it pretty much looks on the overbought territory. But at least if you're trading for the short term, this is a stock that all three of our technical analysts do recommend. Let's move to round 2. So the first 3 rounds have been all buys. Let's see if we have any sells right now. Bosch is another stock that has done extremely well. It shocked the street with a 15% move in 2 days. Dhaneshwar, are you bullish on Bosch? What's your strategy? We'll pull up the chart and you can explain to us. Are you bullish?
Yes, of course. If you look at the Bosch chart, so we have seen that the Bosch is trading in a symmetrical triangle since 2015. It is a very wide range of consolidation we have seen on the chart, and recently we have seen on the can you just zoom out the RSI chart?
Let's pull up the RSI chart. Yeah.
So if you look at the RSI, so we got the intermediate trend line breakout, which eventually push RSI on the upside, which will add strength to the underlying. So if you look at the overall chart of Bosch Limited, can you just pull out the...
Yeah, let's go to the other chart. Just give us a second.
Yeah, because of breakout on the RSI, which will add strength to the underline. So we are expecting that the Bosch could test the overhead resistance of the trend line, or there might be a possibility we'll get a breakout on the Bosch Limited. So traders can enter at the right time at this time, and by keeping a stop loss of 19,800 level for an initial leg of up move towards the 23,500.
Okay, so is this 23,500? This is close to 24,000.
The overhead resistance comes near about 23,000.
And if that is broken, how?
So that is broken out. So stock has a potential to travel beyond 30,000 also.
Okay, so I believe this is the lifetime high that Bosch pretty much had, and that's the trend that you have pointed out. This is that on that basis, are you saying?
Yes, of course. That basis, on that basis, my first target is 23,500. If that breakouts will happen and we see the closing about 23,500, so probably stock has a potential to travel towards the 30,000 level.
What's your time frame for 23,500?
So for short term, it is more than 2 months, and if it is the breakouts would happen, so it will take more than 6 months to achieve 30,000 target.
Okay, so for I'm asking for the
23,000 more than 2 months.
Okay, so probably 2 series is something that we are looking at. Thank you so much, Dhaneshwar. Brijesh, Bosch did manage to surprise the street with an up move that time. It's managed to cool off slightly from that level. At this level, do you agree with Dhaneshwar that it has a potential to go in even higher now?
Yeah, I agree with Dhaneshwar, because if you look at this momentum, market taking support at the lower band of the triangle and moving on the upside with strong up move and volumes. And even if you look at the stochastics, has made a higher low formations, and with stocks moving upside, I think 23,400, 23,500 on the upper side of the triangle could be the short-term targets one can look at. And the post breakout, no doubt the stock is in the fresh trend moving for the longer term.
Okay, so that's a bullish call on Bosch. And Raja, your view on Bosch?
Yeah, the overall setup is bullish, but right now it has traded into on the weekly charts onto a trend line resistance, and the momentum indicators are attempting to take the price higher. But definitely, I would advise I would be a buyer on dips. towards 20,300 to 400.
Okay, so that's the view that we're getting in. I think the overall trend that we're getting on Bosch is a bullish sign, but Raja slightly cautious. He would buy it at a lower level, but the other two guests are rather bullish on Bosch going ahead. It's trading absolutely flat in today's trade. The next one, I think after a long time getting a sell call right now, it's on Indian Oil Corporation. Oil marketing companies of late have not been doing well. What's the trend that's going on? Let's pull up the chart. I think, is this your chart?
Yeah, this one.
Okay.
Okay, fine. This is the point and figure chart. Okay, so basically this you can see the green lines and which are marked with X and O0. If you look at the zoom, you can see clearly. Okay, so this is basically a 0.5 into 3 chart. So each X and each 0 are 0.5%, and every 3 bar when the stocks turns 0.75 positive or negative, the trends change. Okay, so if you look at this on the lower side, the prices were rebounding from the 150 to 153 levels on the previous side, and the fresh breakdown has been seen. If you look at this trend line and connect this trend line, the fresh breakdown on the triangle, which is generally known as 4-column breakdown on the point and figure charts. So if you look at these breakdown, the prices is being continuing on the downtrend, and I think 140, 136 levels on the counting this momentum. So the targets come to around 135. So one can expect 140 to 136 levels on the downside on IOC on the spot side.
Okay. How long is this? What's the time frame of this?
This is nearly 1 year chart.
Okay, this is a 1 year chart. So you are expecting another 15 to 20 rupee downside.
Yes.
Is there any stop loss that you would look at?
I would place the stop loss just above this at 155.50 on the spot level.
Okay, and how soon do you expect
maybe around 2 to 3 weeks.
Okay, 2 to 3 weeks. So that's the trend that's coming in on Indian Oil Corporation. Thank you so much, Brijesh. We'll ask our guest. Raja, it's a negative call that's coming in on Indian Oil. What's your take on Indian Oil?
Yeah, the charts are definitely indicating a lower high, and the momentum is definitely to the downside. Even on the weekly charts, the RSI is seen struggling, and the MACD is about to give a fresh sell signal. So overall setup does look bearish, and actually if it travels below 147, the momentum could accelerate.
Okay.
So the situation is definitely on the bearish side.
Okay, so Raja is concurring with the view that Brijesh spoke about, and Daneshwar, what's your view on Indian Oil?
Yeah, if you look at the overall oil and gas sector, so we have seen that the relative rotation graph tells about that the sector is moving into the lagging quadrant, where the relative strength and momentum was very less. And if you look at the overall chart structure on the weekly chart, so we observe that since September 2017, the IOC is moving in a clear downtrend and making a lower top, lower bottom formation. And definitely, if you look at the RSI, so some cautiousness is there because we are getting a number of divergence over there. So I would look a bounce to sell for the level of 160 or 158 odd points.
Okay, so that's the view that's coming in on IOC. It's a negative chart that is there. And the last stock that we want to discuss is Sun TV. Raja has the call. I think it's a sell call on Sun TV. Let's pull up the chart. It's a rather confusing chart, Raja, so you'll have to explain it to our viewers.
Yeah, this I have used to analyze Sun TV based on Ichimoku. Ichimoku is a system based on, again, from Japan. And what this is trying to tell you is that the prices have rallied into this like a support zone.
Okay.
Okay, because when the prices are falling, this is like a resistance zone. When the prices are rising, this is like a support zone.
Okay.
So right now what has happened is, after a consolidation from June to August, the prices have rallied into the resistance, and they are now indicating a decline.
Okay.
So this long body decline, which we saw yesterday, definitely indicated that the buyers are again in command. And you can see the recent set of lows, which has got broken.
Okay.
Indicates that there is more pressure coming in. And even if you look at the MACD, the MACD is also supporting this move, because you can see that there is no strength which has been witnessed.
Okay.
And now again the decline has emerged. So what is being displayed here is a great sense of bearishness, and the underlying bearishness is now indicating that the stock could go down much further than its anticipation.
Okay, so is this a short-term chart, or is it a medium-term call that you're saying?
Yeah, this is a short term as well as a long term.
Okay, so what are your targets?
So
and
the
stop
short
loss?
term target is around 690,
Okay.
and the longer term is around 650.
690, 650. What's
Yeah.
the
The stop loss will be around 740.
740, that's the stop loss that you're having. Thank you so much for that. We'll discuss Sun TV with our guest. Thanks so much, Raja. Dhaneshwar, Sun TV over the past 2 days has seen significant selling. Would you agree? Is it a short as per your charts?
Yeah, of course, I agree with the Raja, because recently we have seen that it is unfolded into corrective pattern. And if you look at the weekly chart from the RSI perspective, so we have clearly seen that the range shifting has been done from the bullish mode to the bearish. So I would personally feel this is a good bet for a shorting opportunity. So traders can keep a stop loss of near about 735 for an initial leg of down move towards the 680, 675.
Okay, so similar trends that what Raja spoke about, your charts also indicating similar trends. Brijesh, any similar trends, or would you have a contrast?
Yeah, I would go for similar trend on the bearish side. Stock has given clearly a breakdown of the momentum, and even if you look at the daily, MACD has given a negative crossover, which is again a bearish sign, and the stock's been again multiple times resisting around 50 days average and moving towards its downward journey. So I think a good shot for a target of around 660, 670 I would look at down the downside.
Okay, so I think 650 to around 690 is anywhere between the medium to short term target if you want to short Sun TV. That's the trend that we're getting in. And finally, before we close the show, Jayesh Kilani is back with us. He has a call on Apollo Tyres this time around. What's the call?
So Darshan, Apollo Tyres, there could be a possibility of an early buy signal based on the stochastic indicator. Now remember that the stochastic indicator shows you when a price move is likely overextended, and there are two lines which get plotted on this indicator as well, and essentially you have to watch out for a crossover, whether it happens near the oversold level of 20 or the overbought level of 80. And this time around what has happened is that's the chart of Apollo Tyres, and you see that the stock has in fact declined substantially from about 300 odd levels to currently about 240. So that's the decline that we are referring to, whether this is overextended or not. And the bottom panel shows you the stochastic indicator. If we zoom into this, it will show you that the blue line has now in fact crossed above the white line. But important to note that why I say that this is an early indication, because both of them are still below the green line, which is the oversold line. Once both of these in fact cross above the green line, that is where your confirmation of buy signal will come in. And historically also, Darshan, this has worked well. In the last 1 year, the success rate has been good, and the profit would have been nearly 8.5% on the trades.
Okay, that's a substantial upside, 8.5%. It's an early indication, Dhaneshwar. It's an indicator that the Bloomberg has thrown up. Are you getting any kind of indications on Apollo Tyre?
See, if you look at the daily time frame chart, so probably you will see that the 245 would be a strong resistance for the stock. So if I would be a buyer, so I would wait for stock to close about 245, because we have recently seen that the ADX has moved above the 25. So it indicates that the stock is into the strong downtrend. So I would wait for a 245 to close the stock.
Okay, closing basis 245 is something that Dhaneshwar is looking at. Brijesh, your view on Apollo Tyres?
I would rather go for with Jayesh. The stock is being at the channel support, and if you look at the bullish harmonic is being, the AB equal to CD formation is being done, and I guess a good bet would be around 233, 238 would be a good buying zone for this stock, and I would say 230 would negate my view, but overall I think 270, 75 could be expected if the stock reverses from
Okay,
here.
so Brijesh pretty much concurs with the view what the Bloomberg terminal has said. And Raja, your final?
Yeah, the stock on the weekly chart has come to 38.2% of the entire rise, which we have seen from 2016 low. So it's a good place to actually buy in. So early indication does suggest, but then I would advocate at 237, the prices should halt at the end of this week.
Okay.
And then only we should be looking into buying.
Okay, so it's pretty much what the terminal also said. It's an early indicator, so that's what you need to watch out for, and that's pretty much what we're getting it out from an analyst also. So a closing about 245 is what Dhaneshwar spoke about, and buying at levels of anywhere between 235 to 237 is something that the other two guests spoke about. So that's the call that's coming in on Apollo Tyre. So we need to watch out on a closing basis before we decide what can happen. But with that, it's a wrap on today's Hot Money Tech technicals. Raja, thank you so much for coming in. Brijesh, thanks so much. Dhaneshwar, thank you so much for coming again to the studio. Ask BQ comes up next. Stay tuned to Bloomberg Quint.